Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into some quite powerful personal stories.
Yeah, accounts of, profound spiritual moments, connections that happen right in the middle of a crisis.
Exactly. And our mission here is to kind of pull out the insights from these experiences you've shared, see how faith can sometimes just shift everything.
And what's really striking, I think, and maybe the core idea for you listening, is how often these breakthroughs happen, not despite the crisis, but almost because of it. Like hitting rock bottom is sometimes the trigger.
Right. The sources seem to suggest there's this sort of unique potential in crisis, where a really raw cry for help gets this immediate, almost tangible response. Unexpected.
Totally. It bypasses maybe our usual expectations of how things work.
So let's make this concrete. The source material starts with Sarah. Her account is deeply moving.
Oh, yeah.
She talks about a time she was just completely lost, utterly broken, lost her job, a relationship ended, just desolate.
Mm-hmm. Total despair.
And in that moment, just feeling crushed, she finds herself crying out, "Jesus, are you even there?" I mean, can you imagine feeling that empty, that desperate for just something?
It's incredibly powerful and relatable, isn't it?
Hmm.
And here's the pivot point in her story, the really interesting bit.
Yeah.
Right then, in that moment of sheer vulnerability, she hears a specific verse on the radio, Matthew 11:28.
Come to me, all you who are weary.
Exactly. And burdened, and I will give you rest.
Yeah.
And it's not just any verse, right? It's Jesus directly speaking to that exact feeling of being overwhelmed.
Wow. So for her, it wasn't just random background
Not
noise.
at all. The sources frame it as this direct personal invitation cutting right through her despair. And the immediate effect, she felt this incredible peace wash over her, like unprecedented.
A piece she'd never known before.
Yeah. And she mentions later opening her Bible, and the words just felt, quote, alive, really speaking to her situation. Now, she's clear, the problems didn't vanish instantly, but his presence, that feeling of being met right there in her brokenness,
Wow.
that felt like enough.
And that's key, isn't it? The peace wasn't dependent on the problems going away immediately. It was the connection itself.
Precisely.
Which actually leads us really nicely into Rohan's perspective from the sources. He draws this parallel.
Oh, yeah, the woman with the issue of blood.
Right. Suffered for years, spent everything. Her only hope was just reaching out to touch Jesus's robe. Desperate faith.
Mm-hmm.
And Rohan saw his own journey reflected there.
Mhm.
It wasn't about big speeches or perfect understanding for him either. It was just reaching out. A quiet act, born from desperation, believing even a tiny connection could be enough.
And when you look at both Sarah and Rohan, the common thread that emerges from the sources is this idea of a sincere heart.
Sincere heart, what does that mean exactly?
Well, it seems to be less about having all the right answers or theology and more about raw honesty, vulnerability, dropping the pretense.
Mm.
Rohan specifically contrasts this with just, religion or rituals. It's not about going through the motions, but about this internal, direct, maybe almost conversational relationship, especially in those moments of real need.
Like bypassing the usual channels?
Kind of. The sincere heart is just that willingness to truly reach out, honestly.
So, thinking about you listening, what's the takeaway here? The message seems remarkably simple, actually.
Yeah, beautifully simple.
If you're feeling lost, truly at your lowest, the sources suggest that even just whispering Jesus, that desperate, honest plea, can start something. It can bring his presence right into your situation.
Right where you are.
It's not about being perfect or knowing all the doctrines. It's about authenticity, vulnerability, just being real in that moment of need.
Which brings up this really hopeful idea, doesn't it? That Jesus, as the sources put it, still walks into broken places and brings life.
Life into brokenness.
Yeah. That no matter how shattered things seem, how alone you feel, there's this possibility for connection, for renewal, right there. Your lowest point could actually be, fertile ground.
It really is a powerful theme, finding that comfort, that connection right when you feel most exposed and alone. That reaching out and feeling met, it's quite something.
It is. So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. What does it really mean for you to reach out in faith, even when you feel you've got nothing left? When maybe only a whisper is possible?
Yeah.
How might that simple, honest search for connection, even in the most broken times, lead to a peace that's, unexpected, profound, maybe even transformative?